The first thing to do is to keep in mind that this is sort of a new and increased enforcement of visa rules. This has not been enforced at this level in recent years, so it's relatively a new thing, and it's going to be litigated in court, basically the extension to which DHS has the ability to do these things. So the first thing to keep in mind is that these things are in flux over the next, maybe weeks or maybe months. So things might be changing at a rapid rate. So the first thing to do is to kind of keep informed of the latest news. The second thing is to, at least for now, we have to kind of realize and accept the fact that DHS does have generally broad authority to revoke and terminate non-immigrant visas. They do have that authority. The courts may end up kind of restricting that authority or reinterpreting that authority a little bit more narrowly than they currently exercise it at. But generally speaking, they do have the authority to do it. So until you have the courts reinterpreting the extent of the law, you have to accept the fact that DHS does have the authority to terminate your status. In other words, you can't fight it. You can take steps around it, but you can't directly appeal it or fight it. And finally, I think it's important for people to understand that from what they've been reading in the news recently, there's two distinct branches here of which way the government is going. The first branch that it started with was basically the political branch, which is they started terminating the status of a lot of students who participated in last year's politically related protests and in many cases riots that had to do with, Israeli politics, with Middle Eastern politics, with wars and that kind of thing. That's one. And then the other branch the government went into more recently is terminating the statuses of people who just have various criminal records. And unfortunately, they've taken it to I believe not intentionally, but they've taken it to a very high level where a lot of people get terminated for things like, a speeding ticket or driving without insurance and that kind of thing. So I think most people are worried about that. So it's important to realize that it's not 100% just, for no reason. There usually is a reason. It's just being very strictly applied. People don't also realize that, even though it's very nerve-wracking, of course, but in many of these cases, traffic tickets and that kind of thing, in many of these cases, if a person leaves and reapplies for a new visa again, they will, in many cases of these, they will successfully regain a new visa and be able to come back. There's no guarantees, of course, but they shouldn't be barred from a new visa. So it's important to remember that. And another thing I would let people know is that if you get terminated, if you have a way to apply for a green card, an EB green card, so that's EB1, 2, 3, or EB5, employment-based green card, if you apply for that within less than 180 days of your termination, then you should have no problems in getting a green card, because when you apply for an employment-based green card and you're able to file for adjustment of status, basically filing an I-485, any overstay or illegal, unlawful stay in the United States of less than 180 days is automatically forgiven. So if you find yourself terminated today, as long as you file a green card application less than 180 days later, if you have the means to do that, of course, you should be fine.